According to statistics, there are more than 30,000 influencers and bloggers living in the UAE. Of course, this number is constantly changing because many people come and go, and some split their time between the Emirates and other countries. Now, new rules for bloggers have come into effect in the Emirates. Now, everyone needs to obtain 2 licenses, without which it is not allowed to work. I'll explain in this video how to do this and what the consequences are for evading the new law. Let's talk about what this law is, what it means, and why it was introduced. The Emirates have introduced a mandatory advertiser permit for everyone who publishes advertising or promotional content on the internet and social media. This applies to social networks, blogs, websites, and other online platforms. Why was this law created? It was introduced to protect consumers, regulate the influencer market, and make digital advertising more transparent. How long will this law be in effect? The launch of the advertiser permit was discussed back in the summer of 2025, and it was indicated that it would become mandatory after a transition period. The registration deadline was extended until January 31st, 2026, and starting from February 1st, 2026, this law has already become mandatory for all influencers. I would also like to note that this is not a one-time campaign. This is a law that will be in effect on a permanent basis. That is why it is necessary to take all its features into account. Now let's discuss who this law applies to and whether there are any exceptions. The law applies to everyone who publishes promotional content from the Emirates. First and foremost, this includes influencers and bloggers on YouTube, Instagram, or TikTok. Secondly, it applies to website and blog owners. And thirdly, to people who do advertising integrations, either through barter or for payment. What exceptions might there be in this case? If you are advertising your own product or service on your blog, then the law does not apply to you. But of course, it's always best to check all exceptions against the law because it may vary, including depending on different social networks, types of activities, or even the specific emirate. Now let's talk about what you need to obtain and which license must be issued. First and foremost, this is a license that gives you the right to conduct commercial activities. This is called a trade license, specifically for your type of activity. The second document will confirm your right to publish advertising content. This is exactly what the advertiser permit is, or the advertiser's authorization. How and where can you obtain these permits and licenses? First of all, you can open a company, obtain a commercial license, and conduct your activities as a legal entity. Alternatively, you can obtain a blogger visa, which is issued to you as an individual, but in this case, you need to meet certain requirements. The main criteria for obtaining a blogger visa are: you must have a blog with at least 10,000 followers, and it must be active. That is, you need to regularly post content there, new videos, posts, or stories. The cost of obtaining a blogger visa is 25,000 dirhams and includes all government fees for this visa, as well as the medical test and fingerprinting. As a result of obtaining the blogger visa, you will receive an Emirates ID and will be able to open a bank account. The process of obtaining a blogger visa consists of several stages. First of all, you need to get approval from Creator Hubs. This is an organization, and on average, obtaining this approval takes 3 to 4 weeks. After that, you receive a nomination and submit your documents for visa registration, provide your fingerprints, undergo a medical test, receive your Emirates ID, and can open a bank account, into which you will later receive payments for various advertising integrations. Friends, before we continue, I'd like to remind you that our company, Global Tax Assistant, provides accounting and tax support services, as well as company registration and bank account opening. In addition, we can also help you obtain a blogger visa. All contact information is in the description of this video. What fines and consequences can there be for failing to comply with this law? This law came into effect quite recently, so there isn't much information yet regarding fines and further consequences. But I can say that the amount of the fine will depend on the type of violation and the jurisdiction where the violation occurred. For example, if you conduct covert filming or publish content without approval, or if you operate without registration and obtaining a license, then the fine will vary depending on each type of violation. Friends, share this video with your blogger friends.